Listen, you need to understand something. If she is in your mind day and night without a single word exchanged, there's something deeper at play. This isn't just infatuation, it's not nostalgia. And no, it's not weakness. It's a signal. Not from her, from you. Because the mind doesn't hold on for no reason. When someone lingers in your thoughts without effort, especially after the words have stopped and the silence has grown loud, it's not an accident. It's unfinished business. Not always with the person, but often with the man you were when she was still there. She may have been part of the story, but what's truly haunting you isn't her. It's who you became when you were with her, who you were trying to be. That man who woke up with fire in his chest, who believed again, who allowed himself to feel fully alive. Maybe you thought she was the cause of that energy. But maybe, just maybe, she was simply the mirror reflecting the version of you that had finally stepped into something real. And now, the reason she keeps showing up in your thoughts is because that man, the one who dared to open his heart, who believed in connection, who chased something meaningful, has quietly faded. Not because she left, but because you let go of him too. So no, this isn't random. You didn't choose to carry her image with you. Something deeper did, and that should stir something in you. Not fear, but clarity. Because what you're really longing for isn't just her. It's the you that you lost when she walked away. But here's the truth you've been avoiding. That man, he never truly left, and you don't need her back to bring him back. You just need to remember him and decide to become him again. This time, not for love, not for validation, but for you. You're not haunted by a woman. You're haunted by a chapter of yourself that's still waiting to be lived. And that's the part most men overlook. They think they're longing for her, when in truth, they're longing for themselves. For the version of the man who showed up when she was still around. The one who felt alive, driven, purposeful. Her memory is simply the echo of a time when you felt more connected to your own soul. And maybe that's what this is really about. Not her absence, but yours. So let's begin there, not with who she was, but with who you were and who you still have the power to become. Welcome to Stoic Station. If this message speaks to something deep within you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and continue walking the path of strength and self-mastery with us. She represents a chapter you haven't closed, not because of her, but because of who you were. It's tempting to believe you still miss her, that she holds some unique power over your heart. But if you strip away the illusion, what truly lingers isn't just the woman. It's the man you were when she was still in your life. You were more alive back then, not because she made you that way, but because you allowed yourself to open up. You felt like you mattered. You had something to wake up for. You believed in love, in potential, in the future. She was there, yes, but she wasn't the source of that feeling. She was the witness to it. And when she walked away, it felt like that version of you disappeared too. That's what haunts you. Not just her absence, but the silence of the man you used to be. The man who showed up fully, who had fire in his spirit, who looked in the mirror and saw someone becoming. Now that man feels like a distant memory, a shadow from a different life. But here's the truth that most men overlook. He never left. He didn't vanish. He didn't die with the relationship. He's still there, underneath the dust and disappointment, waiting to be woken up. You don't need her back to bring him back. What you need is purpose, challenge, movement. You need to give yourself permission to live fully again without tying your worth to whether or not she's by your side. So here's where it begins. Write a letter to the man you were back then. Ask him, what made him feel alive? What was he afraid of? What did he believe in? What kind of life did he dream about when he was still filled with hope? Then, write a second letter, this time from the man you are today. Speak with the strength you've gained, the lessons you've earned, and the quiet power that comes from surviving something that once felt unbearable. Tell that former version of yourself that you see him, that you haven't forgotten him, that you're ready to carry his best parts forward, not as a memory, but as a foundation for who you're becoming. This is not about reuniting with her, it's about reuniting with you. That chapter may feel unfinished, but the pen is still in your hand. You get to decide what the next page looks like, not by chasing what's gone, but by becoming the man who no longer needs to. Because the past wasn't powerful because of her, it was powerful because of who you were willing to be. And that man can still rise again. But sometimes it goes even deeper than the version of yourself you miss. Sometimes her presence in your thoughts isn't just about who you were when she was there, but about who you never became because you held back. It's not just a memory of the man you were, it's the silent ache for the life you could have lived. And in those moments when she reappears in your mind, what you're really facing isn't the past, it's the future that never unfolded. Because the truth is, some ghosts don't come from what you lost, but from what you never dared to pursue. The mind has a way of disguising truth in familiar faces. You think you miss her, her voice, her laughter, the way she once looked at you like you were the center of something real. But if you strip it all down, what aches the most isn't her smile or the echo of her presence. What aches is what she represented. She wasn't just a woman. She was a possibility, a turning point, a doorway you hesitated to walk through. She appeared in your life during a moment when you stood on the edge of something, a version of life that was bold, uncertain, passionate. Maybe you were on the verge of making a move, chasing a dream, stepping into the unknown. And then fear whispered, doubt crept in, comfort seduced you with its quiet promises. And slowly you stepped back from the edge. You stayed. You played it safe. You told yourself there would be other chances. But deep down, you knew. You missed it. Now she lingers, not just in memory, but as a symbol, not because of who she was, but because of what she pointed toward. She was a mirror, reflecting the life you almost had, the self you almost became. And when she left, or when it ended, she took more than love with her. She took a version of the future, one you still haven't forgiven yourself for turning away from. This isn't about her anymore. It never really was. It's about what she reminded you of. The untaken road. The dream you buried beneath practicality. The passion you silenced because it didn't guarantee success. The country you never moved to. The story you never wrote. The business you never started. The fire you let die out before it had a chance to burn. You tell yourself you're haunted by her. But what really haunts you is the version of yourself that might have come to life had you chosen differently. Had you been braver? Had you risked more? Had you believed in yourself the way she believed in you, even for a brief moment? But here's the deeper truth. That version of life is not entirely gone. It's just buried, and it's still waiting, patient, quiet, and undefeated. You can't go back and reclaim her, but you can still reclaim what she represented. You can still walk through a new doorway. You can still build the life you paused, because that path didn't vanish the day she did. It simply took a detour. So what now? You reconnect with the path. You sit with the question you've been avoiding. What dream did she awaken in you? What calling did you ignore? What version of yourself was ready to emerge but got put back on the shelf? You don't need a grand gesture. You don't need to rewrite your entire life overnight. But you do need to take a step. One real, courageous, deliberate step. It might be applying for something you've always postponed, booking the trip you keep putting off, reopening that project you were once passionate about. Starting small is fine. Staying still is not. Write it down, whatever it was, whatever it still is. That idea, that ambition, that pull, and then do one thing, anything, to move in its direction. Let your action be your apology to the man you were when you let it go. Because if she's still in your mind, without a word exchanged, it's because her presence still represents a choice you haven't made peace with. And peace won't come from silence. It won't come from memory. It will come when you prove to yourself that you're still capable of choosing boldness over safety, purpose over fear, growth over regret. In the end, it was never about the girl. It was about who you could have become if you had walked through the door she represented. And now, the only question that matters is this: will you build the life you once ran from, or will you let the ghost of your hesitation define who you are forever? But even deeper than the path you didn't walk is the reason you hesitated in the first place. Because sometimes it's not just about the life you could have lived. It's about the wounds that kept you from choosing it. The fear of rejection, the need for validation, the silent belief that you weren't enough. That's why she stays in your thoughts, not just as a symbol of lost potential, but as a mirror reflecting the parts of you that still need healing. And until you face those parts head-on, her memory will keep returning, not to hurt you, but to help you evolve. Some people don't stay in your life, but they stay in your mind, not because of who they were, but because of what they revealed. If she continues to surface in your thoughts long after she's gone, it may not be because she was unforgettable. It may be because the lesson she carried hasn't yet been fully understood. She entered your life for a reason. Maybe not to stay, maybe not to become your forever, but certainly to reflect something you needed to see. Her presence might have exposed the parts of you that still needed healing, the wounds you never tended to, the boundaries you didn't enforce, the stories you told yourself to keep the peace while losing your own center. Perhaps she mirrored your insecurities more than your strengths. Perhaps you kept giving more than you received, hoping love would make up for imbalance. Perhaps she awakened a longing in you that had nothing to do with her at all, but everything to do with the version of love you believed you had to earn. And maybe that's why she lingers, not to torment you, but to teach you. Her memory exists not as a punishment, but as a reminder. That part of you is still waiting to be claimed, still asking to be understood, still bleeding in silence every time you remember how much of yourself you handed over, without ever asking if she truly saw you. But this is not about blame, it's about awareness, because until you face what her presence awakened in you, the same patterns will quietly repeat. You'll meet her again, in another face, another name, another chapter. Different woman, same wound. That's the mind's way of giving you another chance to integrate what you refused to accept the first time. The lesson isn't about her choices, it's about yours, about where you settled, where you stayed silent, where you molded yourself to fit into her world rather than building your own. She may have been the spark, but the fire has always belonged to you. And now you get to decide whether that fire will burn you or illuminate your path forward. So stop asking why she left. Start asking why you allowed yourself to stay in a dynamic that left you doubting your worth. Stop replaying what she said and start listening to what your own silence was screaming. What did you need in that relationship that you never voiced? What boundaries did you betray in yourself just to keep her close? If she still visits your mind, then her lesson is not done teaching. But the good news is, you're not the same man you were when she entered your life. You've been through the ache, you've survived the silence, and now you have the wisdom to turn this memory into a message. Take time to create a "What I Learned from Her" list. Write it honestly, brutally if you must. Not about her flaws, but about what her presence revealed in you, your patterns, your blind spots, the illusions you clung to. Then take that list and reshape it into something powerful, an I now choose declaration. I now choose honesty. I now choose mutual respect. I now choose to walk away from anything that makes me abandon myself. Let that become your new compass. Because the truth is, she didn't just leave you with memories, she left you with the blueprint for your next evolution. And the only way to stop thinking about her is to become the man who no longer needs to, not out of bitterness, not out of ego, but out of growth. You don't need closure from her. You need completion within yourself. She was never just a person, she was a reflection, a chapter, a test, and now she is your invitation to rise. The question is, will you finally accept it? And once the lesson becomes clear, once you finally see what her presence was trying to teach you, it doesn't just disappear. Growth doesn't erase the pain. It reveals what still remains. Because understanding the lesson is only the beginning. The deeper work comes afterward, when you must complete what was left open, not in her world, but in your own. The heart, even after awakening, still needs closure. Not by forgetting her, but by honoring what you felt, accepting what was real, and finally releasing what no longer serves who you're becoming. They say, just move on, as if healing is a switch you can flip, as if forgetting means freedom. But you know it's not that simple. Moving on has never been about pretending it didn't matter. It's about making peace with the fact that it did. It's about closing a loop that never got the ending it deserved. And sometimes the reason she's still in your thoughts is not because you're weak or obsessed, but because something inside you remains unfinished. We often search for closure in other people. We wait for an apology that may never come, a conversation that will never happen, a moment of clarity from someone who's already left the story. But real closure doesn't come from others. It comes from within. It begins the moment you stop needing them to validate your pain and choose to honor it yourself. Maybe you never gave yourself the space to grieve. Maybe you rushed through the silence, distracted yourself with work, with noise, with anything that kept you from sitting still with the weight of what was lost. Maybe you told yourself to stay strong, to be stoic, to let it go. But you didn't let it go. You buried it. You shoved it down beneath logic and pride, and now it lingers in your chest, disguised as her memory. Maybe what you really need isn't for her to say anything at all. Maybe what your heart has been asking for is your own permission to feel it all, the anger, the confusion, the sadness, the regret, to cry if you need to scream in a room alone, to admit that it mattered and that you were hurt, and that even though you've grown, part of you still carries the weight of what was left unsaid. You don't have to keep carrying it. Completion doesn't mean forgetting, it means honoring what was real and then releasing it. It means giving yourself a symbolic moment, something sacred and intentional, to declare that the story is over, that you've lived it, felt it, and now you're done holding on to it like it still defines you. Take one final act. Burn the old photos, not out of hatred, but out of reverence. Speak the words you never said into a voice note you'll never send. Walk the route you once shared with her, but this time in silence, in stillness, in full ownership of your presence. You do this not for her, but for yourself, for the peace that can only arrive when the storm inside you has been heard, felt, and fully seen. Because your mind isn't stuck, your thoughts aren't broken. Your heart is simply waiting for you to say, it's time. And once you do, it will finally let go. And once that emotional weight has been honored, once you've allowed yourself to feel it fully and release it with clarity, what remains is space. Space in your mind, in your heart, in your future. But space, if left unclaimed, will always invite the past to return. That's why healing isn't just about letting go, it's about choosing what comes next. Because after the storm quiets, you face a new question. What will you fill that space with now? And the answer to that will define not only how you move forward, but who you become. She lingers in your mind, day after day, without saying a single word. And while the silence between you might be deafening, there's a deeper silence that hurts even more, the silence between you and your own life. That quiet space where you no longer speak with conviction about the future, where you no longer listen to your own voice, where your days are spent more in memory than in movement. This isn't just about her. This is about the energy you continue to give to a story that no longer evolves. Every time you replay an old moment, you postpone the creation of a new one. Every time you imagine what might have been, you delay what could still become. And all the while, the man you were meant to be, the one who was supposed to rise from this, waits in the shadows, wondering when you'll finally choose him instead. The truth is simple, and it's sharp. Your mind is sacred ground. It was never meant to be a museum for the past. It was designed to be the soil where the future is planted. But as long as you allow her to occupy space in your thoughts without offering anything new, you rob yourself of your own potential. Because no matter how beautiful the memory, it can't build you, it can't challenge you, it can't stand beside you when things get hard. It can only echo what's already gone. And perhaps the hardest part to admit is this: she's not keeping herself there. You are. Through the stories you retell, through the photos you never deleted, through the conversations you continue to have in your head. You've made space for her, but you've stopped making space for yourself. It's time to take that space back, not in anger, not with bitterness, but with intention. Choose to redirect your focus toward the life that's still waiting to be built. Set a clear intention, one that pulls you forward. Starting today, I choose to fill my mind with the life I am building, not the life I lost. Write it down. Say it aloud. Post it where you'll see it every day. Then go do one small, bold thing. Something new, something alive. Something that reminds you that your story is still being written. Because the past cannot be erased, but it can be put in its place. And she cannot occupy your mind unless you keep the door open, so close it. Not with resentment, but with reverence. Because your future deserves more than to be built on ghosts. It deserves to be built on presence, purpose, and the man you've always had the power to become. And once you reclaim that space, once you decide that your mind belongs to the man you're becoming, not the memory you've been replaying, you'll start to feel something shift, not all at once. Not with some dramatic breakthrough, but gradually, with each moment, you choose presence over nostalgia, action over hesitation. Still, the thoughts may return from time to time. That's human. But the difference now is how you respond. Because the real breakthrough doesn't come from waiting for the thoughts to vanish. It comes from what you do when they arrive. She's not in your mind by accident, but she doesn't have to stay there forever. She didn't just appear in your thoughts without meaning. Her presence, quiet, uninvited, and persistent, isn't random. She shows up because something within you is still asking to be seen, to be understood, to be acted upon. But that doesn't mean she belongs there forever. Thoughts like these aren't a curse. They're not chains holding you back. They're signals, alarms, invitations. They arrive to wake you up, to shake loose the parts of you that have grown too comfortable with emotional stillness. When her memory surfaces, it's not always about the past. It's about the present asking for movement. It's about life urging you to stop circling around the same questions and begin confronting the ones that matter most. You don't have to talk to her to speak the truth. But you do need to talk to yourself. Ask the questions you've been avoiding. What am I still holding on to? What part of me have I silenced since she left? What have I been afraid to face? The answers won't always be comfortable, but they will be freeing. Because the past doesn't release you when you sit still. It releases you when you walk through it. When you take deliberate, honest, sometimes painful steps forward. When you stop waiting for peace to arrive and start building it with your own hands. Her memory is a flame, but you don't have to be burned by it. You can use it. You can walk through the fire and emerge stronger, clearer, and closer to the man you were always meant to become. The man who no longer looks back for answers, but builds them step by step in the life ahead. So if she still crosses your mind, don't see it as weakness. See it as a sign, a moment of awakening. Not because you need her back, but because you're being called to step forward, into your truth, into your strength, into the life that still waits to be claimed by the man you were always meant to become. This journey isn't about forgetting, it's about transforming, about using the memory not as a place to live, but as fuel to rise. Because thoughts don't stop when you suppress them. They stop when you finally do something with them, when you choose to build, to act, to become. If this message spoke to you, if you felt something stir inside, don't let that feeling fade. Use it. Let it move you. And if you're ready for more content that challenges you to grow deeper, think clearer, and live stronger, like this video, subscribe to Stoic Station, and continue walking the path with us. Your mind is no longer a prison, it's a starting point. Choose what comes next.